I swear, the more and more I hear about this woman or the more I see of her, the more repulsed by her that I get. Almost to the point where I'm more repulsed almost more by her than I was of Charlie Kirk. The only reason we really didn't like Charlie Kirk like that is because he always was out there. But now that Erika Kirk has come from up under, now we can't stop seeing her. She's just as attention seeking, if not more, in my opinion, than her husband. But I wanted to come on here today to talk about something that has gone viral on social media. And by the time y'all see this, y'all probably are aware of it. But if you're not, this is going to be new to you. Well, Erika Kirk was at this event down in Arkansas where she was invited by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders to speak at this event. And the video that has gone viral, and I'm going to show it after I go through the article, was where she was talking about how young white men were being disenfranchised. And I'm like, oh my God, here they go again with this nonsense. And, we just went over a couple weeks ago a series of lives where Jeremy Carl was up there trying to say the same thing. And he got so, embarrassed that he ended up just dropping out from this position that Trump was trying to appoint him to. So I'm going to go through the article first, then I'm going to insert the video, and then we're going to go over that. It says Erika Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, a position that she was just handed, stepped into a storm of controversy this week. She joined Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders at the governor's mansion for an announcement about expanding conservative student groups in schools. And I already know where this is headed. What started as a routine event quickly blew up online thanks to Kirk's choice of words. Social media users lashed onto her phrasing, turning it into memes and heated debates. The backlash highlights ongoing tensions around race, gender, and politics and education. Let's break down what happened. On March 11, 2026, Kirk and Sanders held a press conference to launch a new initiative. They signed a proclamation encouraging high schools and colleges across Arkansas to start chapters of Turning Point USA's Club America. And we're going to go over that Club America too, because I looked that up and I found something very interesting on the homepage of that site. It says this program aims to promote conservative values, free speech, and activism among students. Sanders praised Kirk as a leader who inspires young people to get involved in politics. I don't know who the hell she's supposedly leading, but she ain't leading the masses like they think she is. Outside the mansion, the mood was tense. Protesters from groups like Young Democrats of Arkansas gathered to oppose the partnership. They accused Sanders of using state resources to push partisan agendas into schools. Some demonstrators clashed with supporters, leading to arrests. Zaid Kelly, chair of the College Democrats of Arkansas, called it ironic, pointing to recent laws like the Arkansas Access Act that regulate student political activities. Zeno Jones, a student from Philander Smith University, expressed concern that the group promotes exclusionary values. Kirk addressed the crowd, urging students to stand firm against criticism. Her speech focused on empowering the next generation, but one part stood out in that ignited the fire. You know what? I was going to wait until the end, not the end of the article to put the video, but since it's about to get into the quote, I'm going to insert the video right here and you can actually hear from her mouth what she said.
Don't let anyone disenfranchise you because you're a young man. Especially a young white male man. Don't ever let anyone talk down to you. We need strong men out there. Strong men who are convicted. That will be good leaders, good husbands, good fathers like mine. We need that. And young women, we need you to also rise up. Don't compromise yourself. Don't look at other women and compare yourself. God has created you for a purpose and a reason far greater than you and I will ever know on this side of heaven. But just know that as long as you're a part of Turning Point USA, you have us by your side, and we will be there for you every step of the way.
So y'all just heard that, and that's actually the quote right there that's in the actual article, even the part where she was mentioning about the young women rise up. So you can see right there, she was very specific about what man she was talking about. She didn't leave it at young man, which means it could have been any group or any demographic of man or young man. She said specifically young white male men, which by the way became a running joke on social media because there was like, is there any other type of man? She's a young male man, and people was posting up memes of male men and talking about the stuff that they have to endure when delivering mail on their routes, like dealing with dogs, dealing with people with attitudes and all types of stuff, or battling climactic weather and all types of stuff. So even how she framed that was very interesting to say the least. But let me continue. The phrasing young white male man caught everyone's attention for its awkward redundancy. Clips spread fast on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and X. Critics zeroed in on the racial specificity, arguing it promoted white grievance narratives. One Instagram user commented, "What message is this for young black male men or young Asian female women?" Another called it white supremacy in plain sight. The event's timing added fuel. It came shortly after Sanders signed laws aimed at curbing what Republicans call left-wing indoctrination in education. Aaliyah Rowe, vice chair of the Young Democrats of Arkansas, said the partnership doesn't improve lives for Arkansans. The internet didn't hold back. On X, users mocked the phrasing with jokes about young white male men or white male men. One post called it pure state-funded white Christian nationalism and garnered thousands of likes. Another user pointed out the irony of a black student standing behind Kirk during the speech. TikTok videos analyzed the moment, with one caption reading, "Erika Kirk's remarks during a speech in Arkansas are already sparking debate online." Instagram Reels show protesters chanting outside the mansion. Comments range from yikes to accusations of fake tears in Kirk's delivery, which I'm tired of seeing her fake ass tears. Like, this woman just comes off as unbelievably unreal. Fake Facebook groups share clips with some users defending Kirk by comparing it to uplift messages for other groups. The viral spread turned the event into a national talking point with views in the hundreds of thousands. It even inspired memes blending the quote with unrelated postal service jokes. Not everyone saw it as problematic. Supporters argued Kirk was addressing cultural biases against young men, particularly in discussions about masculinity. One ex-user wrote that young white men face, quote, gaslighting and need encouragement. Turning Point USA posted positively about the event, focusing on empowering the next generation. Some Facebook comments noted that similar race-specific messages for other demographics often go unchallenged. A user named Dewey Burchett said the controversy itself proves discrimination against white men. Oh, I can't wait to show y'all this part that I'm going to bring up after this article. Arkansas Republicans like Harding University student Cobb welcomed the chapters, saying they faced pushback before. Critics, however, called the remarks racist and questioned their focus on white men over others. The divide shows how the story taps into broader culture wars. As the dust settles, this moment underscores the heated debates in American politics today. Kirk's words meant to motivate instead of divided opinions sharply. So that's the entire article right then. I thought it was interesting where they were talking about the defendants pushing back, where they only quoted like two people that defended what she said, and the majority of the people were against what she said. Now, remember what I told you about where they are consistently always talking about young white men are being disenfranchised? Well, somebody actually did the legwork for me unknowingly when they decided to go to ChatGPT and ask these two simple questions. The first question that this person asked was, have white men ever been disenfranchised in the United States, yes or no? ChatGPT came back and said yes. Early in U.S. history, some white men were disenfranchised because voting rights were limited by property ownership, taxes, or other qualifications. For example, in the late 1700s and early 1800s, many states required men to own property or pay certain taxes to vote. Poor white men who did not meet those requirements could not vote. These restrictions gradually disappeared during the expansion of suffrage in the early 19th century, especially during the era associated with Andrew Jackson and the rise of universal white male suffrage. So historically, the answer is yes, but it was due to economic or legal requirements, not race. So that was the first question. The first question being, have white men ever been disenfranchised in the United States? Now let's go on to the second question that was asked. So the next question that was asked was, have white men been disenfranchised in the United States, yes or no, in 2026? The ChatGPT said no. In 2026, white men as a group are not disenfranchised in the United States. They have the same legal voting rights as any other U.S. citizen who meets the requirements such as citizenship, age, being 18 plus, registration rules, etc. There is no law that removes voting rights specifically from white men. And then it says important context. In early U.S. history, many white men were temporarily disenfranchised because states required property ownership or tax payments to vote. This meant a large share of poor white men could not vote in the late 1700s and early 1800s, which was mentioned in the previous question. It says those property requirements were gradually removed, and by the 1830s, most states allowed nearly all adult white men to vote. Modern voting restrictions, for example, some felony disenfranchisement laws, apply to people with certain criminal convictions regardless of race. Bottom line, in 2026, no, white men as a group are not disenfranchised in the United States. And historically, some white men were disenfranchised in the early U.S. due to property or tax requirement, not race. So understand that when people like Erika Kirk or Jeremy Carl or Matt Walsh or all the rest of them saying that white people or white men are being oppressed, they're not being oppressed. And if they are being oppressed, it's not because of their race. As it was mentioned before, even back then when they were being oppressed, the ones that were anyways, it wasn't because they were white. It was because of money, for the most part. At that point down, now you can say it was a classist thing. It's because if you were poor, you couldn't own property. You in all cases at that time, you couldn't even own slaves. Like, you had to be rich. Notice all the slave owners back then had money. They had wealth. They had, I mean, after all, they had to buy what they considered property. Even those were human bodies. They were considered property at that time, which means you had to have money and lots of it, because slaves weren't considered to be cheap. You couldn't buy a slave for $1. Like, they would, like, first off, you probably couldn't even be there, because I'm sure there was a minimum of how much you could spend for one slave. So $1 wasn't going to cut it. Like, I don't know how much it was back then, like what the minimum requirement was. The price differed depending on which plantation you were going to or trying to, acquire. But remember, I told you I went to the Club America website, and I told you that I scrolled down a little bit, but on the homepage, but it was something that was very interesting that I found. Let me show y'all what I found to be very interesting. And before I get into this, let me just say that this Club America website, in my opinion, is nothing more than a junior think tank. It's basically the Manhattan Institute, all those other ones that they're basically trying to indoctrinate young white people to be a part of. But this is what I found. So I scrolled down, and this is on the home page. Like, you didn't have to click anything or nothing, just scroll down. This right here is a map of course, the United States, but where all those red dots are that have numbers in them, that's where this Club America is active in those particular areas, in those particular states. But if you notice, one of them, I put a orange circle around, and that one is in the state of Alabama. The reason I did that is because Alabama, out of all of the active chapters that this Club America is at, that is ran by the TPUSA, it has the most active chapters in a high school, or in high schools, because they didn't say this is spread over multiple schools, no matter where the state is at, and even within the state, with 361 active chapters in the state of Alabama. 361. I think the smallest one is maybe under 20. And that's like the lowest, but 361 in the state of Alabama. Am I surprised by that? No, I am not. And if you look at the places, they're going to where there are, again, is majority white municipalities and enclaves and areas. I doubt there's many black people that probably live in or around these areas or go to these schools. So they're being very particular about where they are planting their flag, so to speak, when it comes to spreading this rhetoric. Again, they will sit up there and tell you certain things aren't required to be in schools, like something like this, but then turn it right around and end up doing it. That's why I said that when it comes to left wing and right wing politics, black people don't get so caught up in choosing a side or saying which side is worse than the other, because they're both bad. Like, they're literally doing all the same thing. One side would tell one side to not do this and then turn it right around and do it, and vice versa, all the time. This is no different than maybe what some liberal enclave or political leaning person tried to do. They probably got the nod, or it went through, and now they say, you know what, if theirs went through, let me go ahead and do mine. They're basically playing a game of who can basically outbeat the other with no real clear agenda. I take that back. There is a clear agenda. There is always one at the end of the day. But yeah, this is the map. This is the map for that so-called Club American. When I was looking through the website, all you saw was a bunch of young white male and female, mainly male faces. I didn't really see not one black person in there, not even to so-called say we're being diverse, because we know for damn sure they don't believe in diversity. They put that up there, they'll instantly say it's DEI. That would hurt their bottom line. So yeah, They are going to continue to push this whole thing of this narrative that young white men are being oppressed or white people are being oppressed until they're blue in the face. Even when you present stats and facts like I just did with that chat GPT, and that was two interesting, very good questions to ask. Shout out to the person who did it. And you'll put that and present that in front of them and they'll still won't believe it. They'll still saying they're being oppressed without them telling them they're being oppressed. The thing is, I think they know why they're saying it, but they don't want to come right out and say it. I don't know why. I mean, you got Erika Kirk up here saying young white male men, as goofy as that sounds, are being oppressed. You got Jeremy Carl writing whole books about it. You got people complaining about DEI, even though that's not around anymore. They still using the bastardized version of woke, don't know the original definition of the word, still saying it. At this point, it's just like y'all are just talking in circles and y'all have no solution in sight. And you know what it is? They don't want a solution because they don't have one, but they also don't want one. I think they see the forest from the trees, maybe. And this is them in panic mode and they're scared. So they're just saying all these dog whistle things to the point where they don't care anymore. They probably like, our shit is almost done. Let's just go out with a bang as much as we can possibly do it and as loud as we can make that bang be. But yeah, this is goofy at the end of the day. I honestly, I would say I almost feel bad, but I don't. As far as I'm concerned, if karma is indeed real, which many believe to be real, this is what it is. But I will also say this as well to my fellow FBA. Y'all better keep your head on the swivel, because the more and more they dog whistle like this, the more and more amped up they're going to get. I'm just saying.
But wait! There's more!
Well, this is an interesting turn of events, and hence why I actually titled the video the way that I did when I say Erika Kirk is bad for business. So look at this. College Republicans chapter collapses after Erika Kirk's visit. Something tells me this might have gone off without a hitch if it wasn't being spearheaded by Erika Kirk. An Arkansas college chapter of the late Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA abruptly cuts ties with the conservative organization less than a week after Erika Kirk visited the state. The University of Arkansas's TPUSA chapter released a statement Tuesday disavowing the organization and its use of Charlie Kirk's name since he was fatally shot at a campus event in Utah on September 10th. We have many grievances with Turning Point USA, but I will share only one, wrote Dino Fantagrossi, the former chapter president at UA. We are generally put off by how Charlie Kirk has been used by TPUSA since his assassination. Statements like Charlie would have said and Charlie would have wanted have felt in many instances disingenuous and manipulative. Charlie Kirk cannot speak for himself anymore, and we do not recognize the way others have attempted to speak for him. And by others, they're talking about Erika. He even has a whole statement that was posted by him. It's a joint statement. I'm going to read it to you. It was posted on March 16th, 2026. He says, "My name is Dino Fantagrossi. I am the chapter president of Turning Point USA at the University of Arkansas. I joined TPUSA at the first semester of my freshman year. That was 10 semesters ago, 5 of which I have served the honor of being in charge. I have seen this organization flourish, dwindle, rebuilt it from the ground up, and helped to grow it bigger than it has ever been. I have poured blood, sweat, and tears into the chapter and spent countless nights strategizing, planning, and drafting materials to table with or for events. This chapter has meant the world to me, and I am incredibly proud of everything we have accomplished on our campus and in our community. Turning Point USA has given me countless opportunities to meet influential people, make connections, and make friends and memories that will last a lifetime. I will always be eternally grateful for this, though for some time now it has seemed that this organization has lost sight of what is truly important. We are no longer focused on our guiding North Star, that is fighting for conservative policy, principles, and values. At least that is how I have always understood it. Instead, it feels that we have become consumed with metrics, creating the next viral cultural moment, and generally chasing relevance. We have become reactionary when we need to be proactive." After discussion with my executive board, we have come to the unanimous decision to dissolve our affiliation with Turning Point USA and rebrand our registered student organization under our own label, Young American Revival at the University of Arkansas. This decision was not made lightly. We discussed this for some time, weighing the pros and cons and seeking spiritual discernment. We have many grievances with Turning Point USA, which will be shortly made known to them in private, but I will share one. We are generally put off by how Charlie Kirk has been used by TPUSA since his assassination. Statements like Charlie would have said, so this is just kind of rehashing what I just kind of mentioned earlier in the article. Now this is the breakdown of his whole speech, his whole statement. And Charlie would have wanted, have felt in many instances disingenuous and manipulative. Charlie Kirk cannot speak for himself anymore, and we do not recognize the way others have attempted to speak for him. Though the one thing I always took away from my interactions with Charlie was the importance of being your own man or woman. Sometimes that means making tough decisions just like this one. We expect many non-members looking in from the outside will not fully understand our decision, but we also believe many longtime student members will recognize why we came to this conclusion. We do not want to start this next chapter of our journey in conflict, so we will not make any more public statements on Turning Point USA going forward. Instead, we will remain solely focused on our mission as it was always intended to be, advocating for Christian conservative values and policy, and now unburdened by 501c3 status, supporting grassroots conservative candidates. With Young American Revival, we hope to enable students to not only fight for change on their college campus, but in their surrounding community as well. We will be carrying over all the same fun events and chapter meetings we did through Turning Point, while also being civically engaged with local and state campaigns that deserve our help knocking doors and getting out the vote for grassroots candidates. This, we believe, will make our mission more focused and powerful than it has ever been. To all of our fellow students in the University of Arkansas, join us for a real fight for change. We can and will make Arkansas into the greatest state in the union. God bless you all. Dino Fantagrassi, former Turning Point USA chapter president and founder of Young American Revival. Now, before I go any further into the article itself, this is why I said Erika is bad for business, because it seems to me everything was going fine, but then when she started to insert whatever it is that she was doing into this, it started to taint itself. Like, it literally started to rust. Because again, how in the world did they make this huge turnaround in such a short amount of time? They said less than a week since her visit, and they was like, no, this is not what we're doing. So I'll give them that. At least they're not falling for the okie doke, and I guess they want to do their own thing, even though it sounds a lot like what they were already attached to, but just has no attachment with her involved. So yeah, I think that, this is very interesting to say the least. It says, just days prior, Erika Kirk, the newly installed CEO of TPUSA, traveled to Arkansas for a joint press conference with Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, where they announced a partnership between the state and the organization to bring TPUSA to high school and college campuses across the state. It goes on to say, we are here to welcome one of the conservative movement's most talented, most outspoken, and most faithful leaders, Erika Kirk, to our great state. We've only been hearing about the woman probably for the last couple of months. Outspoken on what exactly? It says, we're so proud to have her, Sanders said in a video posted on X on March 11th. It says Fantagrassi did not address the joint press conference or statewide initiative in his statement. Instead, he wrote, we do not want to start this next chapter of our journey in conflict, so we will not make any more public statements on TPUSA going forward. It says after Charlie's death, there was an initial outpouring of support for Erika Kirk, but the mood quickly shifted after she was installed at the helm of TPUSA. And I said to myself, that was such an odd thing for them to do. And now, as you can see, this is what it's going to turn out to be. She, again, is bad for business. She's going to taint everything that they so-called worked hard for. It says, since then, the 37-year-old has been subjected to an onslaught of speculation and conspiracy theories from far-right figures, none more prominent than Candace Owens. The commentator is currently releasing a multi-part documentary, monetized on YouTube, of course. I like how they do that in there, because of course she ain't going to do that for free. On YouTube, focused on Erika Kirk, titled Bride of Charlie, which, interestingly enough, it's like a play on the title for the movie The Bride of Chucky, which of course Chucky is the nickname for the name Charles. It is another recent video, did Erika Kirk know Jeffrey Epstein? Has been viewed 1.9 million times. It says the White House has stood firmly behind Erika. Last week, she was appointed by Donald Trump to fill a seat in the United States Air Force Academy Boards of Visitors, according to the Academy website, which she did not earn, and we talked about that. This Trump, age 79, has frequently highlighted his close relationship with the widow, most recently honoring her during his State of the Union address last month. Last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred for his belief, the president said before introducing a tearful, and I put that in quotes, Kirk. Vice President J.D. Vance will also headline the This Is the Turning Point tour at the University of Georgia in April alongside Erika Kirk, where he would debate college students as Trump wages a war in the Middle East. Y'all, this is your vice president. Why is he doing debates on college campuses? He is the vice freaking president. This is why, again, I keep telling people I cannot take this organization seriously. Now all they're going to do is raise those speculations again about these extracurriculars between JD Vance and Erika Kirk. Because why? I don't think when's the last time we've ever heard JD Vance or seen JD Vance's wife's name next to him in text, let alone seen them together? I would like to know. I would love to know this. And then it ends off with the Daily Beast has reached out to TPUSA for comment. Look, that's exactly what Erika Kirk gets. That is exactly what she gets. I would have to just say kudos to that organization for seeing the forest from the trees immediately, because they was probably like, nah, we can't work with this woman. We already see what she's there for, and it's not for what we want. And they kept saying to themselves, like, I don't think that's what he would have wanted. And she says, when the guy said, when you start saying stuff like, oh, Charlie would have wanted this, or he would have wanted that, how did you know that? That's not really, when people say stuff like that, that's not what the person would have actually wanted, because again, like the person said, they're not here to defend themselves or counter that. Remember, Erika Kirk had Nicki Minaj at that Amfest event acting a fool, both of them, when there's video out there where Charlie Kirk said he did not like her, as in he didn't not like Nicki Minaj. He even went as far and said that Nicki Minaj was a bad role model for black girls and women. Shocking, isn't it? Can't believe someone like him actually said that, considering his anti-black stance. But he said that. But what did she do? She had and trotted this woman out and had a whole interview with her for like a half an hour, talking about a bunch of airheaded nonsense between the both of them. But leave it to Erika, that's what Charlie would have wanted. Again, this woman is out for self. She is an opportunist to the highest order and degree, and nobody can tell me any different.
I,